Man, there's a lot going on overseas and actually right here at our own State House.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
It's amazing how quickly we say we have a terrorist attack when I guess we have a terrorist attack. We used to guess for a while. Now we assume that we do. It's a different world, right? Good evening. Nice to have you aboard. Alternative means to save the taxpayers some money and to advance the economy. The Rhode Island Center for Freedom and Prosperity's Mike Stenhouse is my guest tonight, so sit in for that. I'm sure he's got some things to say about car taxes and alternative plans to car taxes and that kind of a thing. And car taxes are going to be hot and heavy in this legislative session, maybe even more so than we thought because of the changing of the guard that seems to be happening there, and we'll talk about that in the rundown. Let's move over to camera 3. Did you know this was camera 3? Did we tell them that, Lex? This is camera. It's camera 3. Let's move to camera 3. Unfortunately, it's nothing to smile about when it comes to this story. A headline here, and this was the latest we had at midday as we put the show together.
Parliament is under lockdown after a man armed with a knife attacked a police officer at the gates to the Houses of Parliament. CBS News has learned one officer was stabbed, a second shot the attacker. A witness described what he saw.
Someone rushed through that, got through the security gates and assaulted a policeman. I saw the policeman go down.
The alleged assailant was shot by armed police.
Not far away on Westminster Bridge, a car apparently mowed down pedestrians. Witnesses say at least several people were lying on the ground. Police believe the incidents are probably related.
Well, here's the point. These stories naturally evolve by the 15-minute interval, and you're watching the show either at 7:30 or at midnight, so I'm incapable of providing any kind of data. The only thing that I'm look, it's incredible what happens, and being in the wrong place at the wrong time is a matter of what, fate or circumstance, not only for those who have been killed or injured, but for those who just thought they were going to have a beautiful day taking a look at the London skyline. You know that London Eye, the Ferris wheel? For hours, up until the time that we produced this show, there were people stuck on the top. Now, if you had convinced me to actually get on one of those things, it probably would have been a whole bottle of Valium to do so. Telling me that I had to stay there for a few hours? Okay. All right, say a prayer for those folks. All right, day 3, Gorsuch hearings. And it's going pretty much according to the script, right? Headlines. And they did, because he played rope-a-dope the entire way. Sheldon Whitehouse is suggesting that there are more questions that need to be answered here. Latest from the network.
Initials are DJT.
Senate Democrats repeatedly challenged Judge Gorsuch on the policies of the man who nominated him.
President Trump and others have said, you are the next Scalia.
He's called for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
What is your view of President Trump's comments on judges?
But only when pressed on President Trump's public attacks on judges did Gorsuch offer a firm response.
And when anyone criticizes the honesty or integrity, the motives of a federal judge, well, I find that disheartening. I find that demoralizing, because I know the truth.
Anyone, including the President of the United States.
Anyone is anyone.
Gorsuch rejected the idea that with his nomination, President Trump had fulfilled a promise to select a judge opposed to abortion.
Did he ever ask you to overrule Roe v. Wade?
No, Senator.
What would he have done if he'd asked?
Senator, I would have walked out the door.
And he insisted his personal views would have no bearing on his work as a justice.
Senator, a good judge doesn't give a whit about politics.
As questioning stretched into the evening, some Republican senators appeared to run out of questions.
And my son Dallin, a teenager, said, ask him if he would rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck.
Yeah, Washington humor. It's all scripted. It's all scripted. I would have got up and left. Donald Trump probably isn't even dumb enough to ask the Roe v. Wade question in an interview. But here's the important dynamic of this. Donald Trump has promised a Supreme Court that will overturn Roe v. Wade. It's as simple as that. So the Democrats are trying to find a way into that, and this guy won't let him he just won't let it happen. So you have to determine for yourself what's more of a folly, the process by which a judge is interviewed or the process by which we elect a president promising that they can influence a judge on Roe v. Wade. I think that's worth contemplating, at least. In the meantime, the little thing called health care is a real problem for the Republicans right now. They've brought a deadline on themselves here to pass this through the House, and they don't have the votes right now. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Legalization votes, speaking of voting, pro-marijuana, the front page, these folks think they've got it. They really do. They think they have it, and guys like this one, Jared Moffett, who runs Regulate Rhode Island, young man, has done a pretty good job in his lobby efforts, is probably a lot happier today, happier than this guy. Remember, the Attorney General has been fighting it.
What we need to do is look at cigarette sales in the state of Rhode Island and the enforcement of untaxed cigarettes. That is a black market that exists with a legal tobacco product.
That's been the argument amongst a few from the Attorney General, that the black market will still exist even though pot becomes legal. I will tell you, as we move to the next issue, the marijuana issue has, I think, gotten a little bit more footing because Teresa Paiva-Weed, the state Senate president, if not by the time you've watched this show at 7:30 at midnight, but certainly by tomorrow, will be exiting stage left. She's got a hospital gig, and there's all sorts of lobbying and job protection and politics that go into that whole thing. Dominic Ruggiero will end up being the Senate president, no doubt. He is, I think, more than a shoulder shrug for marijuana. The legalization of marijuana. The speaker is somewhat ambivalent. The governor is somewhat ambivalent. So Paiva-Weed, who was against it, is now out the door. And I'll tell you, the governor's not happy today. She loses a major ally on some key issues. This is going to be an uphill battle now in this legislative session for her version of car tax, for the tuition break that she's looking for in the colleges. Not a good day for the governor when Teresa Paiva-Weed exits. This guy just keeps doubling down on the immigration issue. I wonder if Mayor Elorza ever wants to be known for anything else.
America is a great country, and it's a great country not in spite of our immigrants, but because of our immigrants.
We know that, but he just keeps pushing the conversation, doesn't he? All right, here's the headline that sponsors our conversation this evening with our guest. 3% sales tax, superior form, more superior than car tax or college tuition. This is not the first bite at this conversational apple that we have had with our friend Mike Stenhouse. How are you?
We're back.
We're back. Does anybody ever pay attention to this conversation that you have with 3% car tax? You're trying to make them pay attention, but you've been banging away for a while now.
Yeah, well, we kind of gave up a few years ago. What's changed is back then Speaker Fox, Governor Chafee didn't want anything to do with cutting back taxes or allowing Rhode Islanders to keep more of their money. Now we've got a speaker who wants to cut car taxes, but a governor wants people to save on tuition. They seem to be in the mood of manipulating the budget to accommodate programs that help. So if you're in that mode, let's revisit the sales tax, which would do, both of them, the speaker and the governor, say jobs, 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 but neither car tax repeal or college tuition or job-producing programs. Sales tax, 3%, as we propose, creates thousands of jobs and does it at a less budget impact.
Well, I don't want to drag you into the politics of the State House. I want to get into I do want to get into the weeds on the 3% sales tax. That's why you're here. But the speaker has his car tax agenda driven by, in large part, driven by a very competitive race in his district that forced him to some kind of financially disciplined issue. The governor's car tax idea is just a Me Too. It's got really very little teeth.
Agreed.
But her tuition thing is her big to do. I think the governor's the loser probably in Senator Paiva-Weed going out the door. Not that she was a power base of any significance, but she certainly ran the Senate sometimes with strength, sometimes as a puppet. But you know, she was.
I agree with you.
She was not a car tax fan, meaning a revised car tax fan. She's concerned about, and rightly so in some ways, about her own district and Newport and how it gets affected. She's not a marijuana fan, and that's also an economic issue. I'd like to get your take on that.
Yep.
Perspective on where your conversation comes in now, as we have a little bit of a change there.
Well, we're just trying to add to the debate, you know, and we have had calls from three lawmakers who want to think about either a sales tax bill or a sales tax commission. So we want to, you know, it's important that we have a good, open, and robust debate. We're not saying which one should be done. Maybe it's all of the above, maybe it's one of the above, but since we're in this mode of really thinking, how can we help middle-class people? Our idea from years ago, we always thought was the best idea out there. We still think it's the best idea out there, and we think it should be part of the debate. So that's all we're trying to do, is inject some new ideas into this, these very serious debates that are going on.
All right, we'll dig into what a 3% sales tax would mean when we come back. Stay with us.
We'll cut every Rhode Islander's car tax by at least 30%.
That's Governor Raimondo, who I think really has been a Me Too in the car tax situation. Clearly, Rhode Islanders hate the car tax. And clearly, we've kind of gotten used to getting our tails kicked in when Governor Carcieri allowed for, and the General Assembly passed back in 2007, 2008, the waiver option to rise from $500 to be lowered from $6,000 to $500, wiping away a decade's worth of reduced car taxes. I think everyone just threw in the towel and said, "This is the end of it." Times were tough back then, and the towns didn't exercise the fiscal discipline the governor thought they would. Oh well. So the car tax conversation versus the sales tax conversation, actually, you're putting tables together to contrast the two plans.
Yeah, and we even allude to the governor's tuition plan, free tuition plan. So a couple very important lessons, if I may. First, regardless of our sales tax proposal, we ran this again through our modeling tool, economic modeling tool. Depending on, let's stick with the car tax, depending on how the speaker pays for that, if he decides to pay for that by increasing other taxes, and we just made an assumption that at the worst case scenario, if you increase sales tax and maybe income tax to pay for it.
There's no way he's going to do that.
You only have to do it a little, but that could. But even other increases somewhere
else. If he did that, he'd look like a fool.
Well,
because he's been a conservative thinker in there. He says he's going to find $40 million a year.
But
for
everything
5
that's
years.
been done in the General Assembly is revenue neutral. They cut here and they make up for it here. If we continue to do that, you could lose jobs in the economy because those other increases, whether it's this tax or this fee, will probably have a greater negative impact than any positive impact from property tax cuts. That's just the way the modeling works. It shows that those other areas have more impact. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So be careful. Just cutting the car tax, how are you going to pay for it, makes a big difference to whether or not you have a net or positive impact in the economy.
Well, it's not the only problem with this car tax plan. And by the way, I've been screaming about the elimination of our formula for car tax. Right. I've never thought we were going to get rid of it. I always thought that we would go to a Massachusetts model, which would be total tax reform, including property tax. Remember, that change in Mass came in with Prop 2.5 together. Stabilized property taxes, and then gave you a flat evaluation chart no matter what town you lived in. Everyone in Massachusetts pays the same rate on a car tax. I wish he would bite off something more practical than this $40 million a year every year to eliminate.
Well, everybody does pay the same sales tax rate, and it'd be easy. Everybody does pay the same sales. That's why it would be much easier to implement.
Okay.
Correct?
It seems.
Yeah. And it is difficult. Again, it's not the speaker's fault, but the car tax is difficult to be fair with because the argument, how can you reward some towns who have overcharged for cars?
Well, so you want to eliminate, you want to lower the sales tax from 7% to 3%.
Yep.
You want to do it on a gradual basis? You want to do it in one fell swoop? What do you want to do?
It doesn't matter. Again, we're at the debate level right now. You'd get the biggest bang for your buck if you did it all at once, but it's a little more risky on the revenue side. Will you receive those revenues, those ripple effect revenues right away or in 2 years? How long will it take? I don't know the answers to that. So that's a discussion you could have. But the bottom line is sales tax reform will give us more jobs, bigger boost to the economy at less budget impact than either of these other two programs. So if we're going to talk about cutting taxes, and given that we're struggling in so many areas, why don't we consider a way to cut taxes that would give us the most positive economic benefit? And that's what we're showing here with these tables.
The economic benefit, you can find this stuff, but on foxprovidence.com we will link some of the tables to the Rhode Island Center for Freedom and Prosperity and their stuff, so you can read some of this data. But in concept, more jobs are created with a reduced sales tax because
it stimulates economic growth and commerce more, and it will bring in out-of-state money. Shoppers, we have very wealthy. In the old sales tax debate, we show that we have very wealthy and dense populations sitting right on our borders in New London and Attleboro and Swansea and Seekonk. And if the sales tax was down to 3%, they'd be pouring into our state. Just think of our retail stores with Massachusetts license plates in your parking lot. Think of that extra money coming. So that creates jobs, and that creates extra income taxes and all other kinds of things.
But you've run through your model, I would hope, and have you figured out what the cost to the budget is?
Yep.
What is it?
Well, the net, again, once the dust settles, the static line calculation, if you take away 4/7 of the sales tax, the static calculation, assuming there's no ripple effect at all.
4/7 is like 60%, by the way.
Right, which is about $580 million, right. But there is a ripple effect, and the ripple effect makes up about $500 million of that through extra income taxes and all these other taxes and fees that the model calculates. So that's what we're saying. In the end, it's a net cost, according to the model, of $82.3 million.
Annually.
And the speaker is $215 million a year annually.
But he's got to grow to that over 5 years.
Yeah, well, you could grow down to the sales tax too. I just gave it to you if we went all at once.
You know, it's interesting because a lot of it's in the marketing, isn't it, Mike? I mean, the car tax is a thing. Like the car tax is a thing that the residents, people don't like that, the thing that they have to pay. The sales tax is at the register, and it's more than mass, but not that much more, and it's not the thing.
I understand that.
It's not the
But we
gimmick.
do pay.
It's
People do pay more in sales taxes out of their family budget than they do in car taxes. If you stop to think about it.
Over the course of the year with all the things they buy.
That's right. I mean, if it's over $1 billion in sales taxes, and it's only $215 million in car taxes, right? Somehow that translates down to the family level. So sales tax would actually put more money back into the pockets of Rhode Island families and businesses.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I think, these shows are important, but, some kind of a marketing campaign that actually asks the question, what do you benefit for most or with most, might be worthwhile. When we come back, we'll get Mike's take on the governor's college tuition plan and also the pot dough looming out there. Stay with us.
It's not about giving something for free. It's about providing people with access to the job training and education that they need to get a job. And, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like you and I, maybe we don't understand that $1,000 or $2,000 can make the difference between graduating and not graduating.
Governor Mondo with a tricky technique on the radio program with me a few days back, suggesting that I am part of her elite class and don't consider college tuition to be that much of a burden. I just wrote the last check at URI. They hurt.
I'm still writing them for my son.
They hurt. They hurt. Your take on 2 years of free college tuition as proposed by the governor?
I've said it before. I think it's, and I'm purposely being a little provocative, I think it's immoral.
Immoral.
Immoral. I think extending the nanny state mentality, extending the idea that the government is going to take care of you all the way, not just through high school now, but now into your college years. I think that's the exact wrong message we need to be sending to young people. There's nothing wrong with a meritocracy where you earn it. You earn your way through college, or you loan your way through college, and then you pay back those loans. The problem is, I understand, we don't have any good jobs coming out the other end to help you pay back the loan, but that doesn't mean you give away college for free. It means we got to do things like the sales tax to boost the economy so there are good jobs out there when people graduate and can pay back the loans like I did and probably you did and probably your kids are. But this whole idea of extending this nanny state pre-K and now into grades 15 and 16, we don't like that at all. There's a lot of practical reasons too, but I'll start with that one.
All right, so it's a philosophical difference there.
It's
How do you
government
feel,
trying
though?
to take care of people. This is, you know, just like with healthcare, it can't work. It's not sustainable, and it's not healthy for people's souls.
Well, if the governor and the legislature wanted to reinvest or add investment to the public colleges and universities here, is that problematic?
I don't know what that means.
Well, I mean, $30 million is the end run projected figure to make URI free in junior and senior year, RIC free in junior and senior year, and CCRI no charge, if you're on course and all that kind of stuff, and achieving that incredible 2.0 to be able to get it. But if you take that same amount of money and put like the Wisconsin governor's done, a 5-year tuition freeze, or a reduction in tuition across the board, I see that as something that creates a marketing advantage for the state of Rhode Island. I mean,
maybe for our university system, but I don't see how it helps our state of Rhode Island.
Why?
Because they're going to graduate more graduates, and where are they going to work?
Well, these are mutually exclusive
Right?
issues?
No, I don't think so.
Well, then why
would we invest in people's
can't we-
graduations if it ends up helping some other state? Because they leave and go work in some other state.
Well, you work all the time on growing the economy, and it's good work, and I don't know why we can't do that simultaneously with suppressing the burden of college education.
Listen,
Across the
we
board,
can increase,
not with special
we
deals
can
and with
increase
free
our
gimmicks.
financial aid if we want, you know, but this idea of giving it away for free. And
I agree with you completely.
Yeah, I know, cheapens the value. It's not sustainable budget-wise.
What about the pot money? Do you think, did you buy the economic argument that Massachusetts is about, although they're struggling with trying to figure out how to manage that referendum a year and a half from now, you know, where retail shops will be? Do you buy the argument that this is about regulation, safety, and economy? You're all about economy.
It adds to the budget, but it has many other drawbacks, we believe. We put out a statement a few weeks ago that, you know, we asked a very simple question, and nobody's given me a good answer yet. How can more use of any substance, alcohol, marijuana, harder drugs, benefit any family or any society? Regardless of what money it brings in, regardless of less people are going to jail, how does society benefit from increased substance use or abuse?
At the same time, you're about less government and getting out of people's pockets.
Well, but
right? So
we're
people
not
decide-
anarchists.
Huh?
I've talked to employers. You want to talk about safety? One employer had to let go an employee because they had medical marijuana, but they couldn't allow them to work on their machinery while they were on marijuana.
Right.
They're getting sued right now to try to protect the safety of their workers. They're sued. This is going to create all kinds of moral and legal and societal problems.
Right, well, you know what? I think we found a better arguer for the Regulate Rhode Island people. We haven't done so well on that so far. Come back on that. 3%
Okay.
sales tax. Pay attention. Go to the website and research this. Mike, always good to see you.
Thank you, Dan.
Final word and we come back. A little controversy in North Providence over a sexual harassment case involving the police, and the mayor of North Providence, always at the ready to respond, will be here tomorrow night, Charlie Lombardi. We'll see you on the radio at 3 on WPRO. Good night.